Hi everyone, it's David, and I am a gnome. I am also a medieval villager. I am also a knight. I am also a witch. I'm also a wizard. I am a cowboy and a cowgirl. I am this guy, and I am this too. I'm all of these things. I'm going to take this off now because I want to talk a little bit about identity and I want to talk about gender. I am all of those things, and I'm going to get back to that in terms of how that relates to young children. There's a lot of talk about gender these days, a lot of talk in the legislature, a lot of talk in the news, a lot of talk in households around the country and the world. And meanwhile, while all that talk is going on, I want to reframe how a very natural and normal dynamic that happens for 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, even younger, even older, that I have witnessed as a parent and as an educator. So before I was a storyteller, I taught elementary school. And in the elementary school classroom, I told a lot of stories. And part of the way in which we would pull out the wisdom and the information in those stories is we would actually, the kids, would try them on. And they would get to experience what it was like to play the characters in the stories. And I noticed something. Now, I was told that this would be the case in my training, but I witnessed it firsthand without any encouragement that boys and girls wanted to do all the parts. They wanted to experience all the parts so that they could experience the lesson and the wisdom of each of those characters. Because in those old fairy tales, those very old fairy tale and folk tales that have been passed on generation to generation and generation, there is an immense amount of wisdom. There's an immense amount of personal exploration, spiritual exploration that are demonstrated in the stories through these characters, and some might actually call them archetypes. There is a wisdom in the prince, and there is a wisdom in the princess. There is wisdom in the knight. There is wisdom in the nurse. There is wisdom in the king and the queen, all the different characters. And my first grade boys, really, when given the opportunity, they wanted to know what it was like to be the princess. And the girls certainly wanted to be the knights, in part because often the knights and the princes often had the big parts and got to do things. But it was back and forth. And first, second, third grade, always the case that they would want to try on each of them because each of them are in all of us. And in those early years, which is most of the people listening to our stories at Sparkle Stories, they want to experience and try on and inhabit all of them. The male characters, the female characters, and the characters that we're not sure which are which. And so I encourage you, as you are probably taking this up, either internally, conversations amongst adults, or maybe you're even having conversations with your children, because it's out there. People are talking about gender and identity. You might see it through this light, that we have in us so much. And at least for a period of time, we want to be able to experiment and experience each of these archetypes, and not to get that confused with something that comes later in life. So have some fun, everybody, and I encourage you to have at least as many costumes as we have. We have 3 trunks of them, and my boys are teenagers, and they still pull this stuff out. So really, you're giving permission to a beautiful, magical, and healthy thing. So have fun.